Falling into bad habits is something I think about a lot. Like, this is not related, but in terms of like when you're like learning editing. So I have like a team and there's like editors and we're spread around the world, right? There's like 7 people. And the way you like physically edit, like using Premiere Pro, there's like many infinite different ways to like do stuff, like use keystrokes and like make your layout good. And there's like, it's easy to fall into bad habits, like doing stuff that makes you slow. So I think the best way to combat this is we like get together sometimes and we can like observe each other like as they're editing to be like, oh, there's like a better way to do this. Oh, don't do that. It's like really slow. So I think the best way to not fall into bad habits is to like probably get exposure to like other people, or try to work with other people, or like listen to what other people are doing. So like listen to podcasts and like reading what other people are doing. But it's good if you have like some kind of like in-person environment where you can like ask people stuff and like observe like what they're doing. But that's how we do it. We just like observe each other and just kind of make sure that no one's like doing some like really bad habit, and just try to get exposure so you're not like in your own echo chamber, or like in an echo chamber of Reddit, for example. That's the first thing that came to mind when you said like bad habits or misinformation. Just try to have like a diverse source of information and a diverse audience that you can interact with, but just observing other people and making sure what you're doing is not like, you know, suboptimal, if that makes sense. Course careers IT cell. I cannot control the sales in course careers. I can control the sales in the cyber range. I could do like a what's it called? Like a yearly subscription plan sale, because the monthly subscription is like already too cheap. Sank says, I'm doing that right now, the Azure Lab Map construction. Been at it for 2 days. Amazing course, bro. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm actually I'm redoing like a, I don't know if you remember, I posted like a sim lab where I set up Sentinel like a long time ago, like 2 or 3 years ago or something. I'm finally like redoing that lab today, or I shot it yesterday already, and today I need to I'm gonna edit the video. It's like a really light version of that one where we set up like a home sock, I guess. How are you guys doing? Happy Valentine's Day. Oh, maybe normal people are probably out on like a Valentine's date or something like this. I didn't realize that. In Thailand, it's not Valentine's Day anymore. It's like the 15th. Christopher says, "Hi Josh. I kindly seek your advice. If I'm currently facing job hunting burnout. As I'm currently constantly being told I am not enough for a SOC analyst, despite having CompTIA Security Plus. Yeah, Security Plus is like not really enough to do like anything. I can kind of explain like how that hierarchy of things works. So this is mostly my opinion, but I think it's like pretty accurate. So when it comes to like things that hiring managers care about, whether it's HR or the panel or like the actual team, this is like the hierarchy or the tier list of things that people like convince them that you're going to be a good hire, or convince them that you can do a good job. Basically, like experience is at the very top, and then secondary to that is like really high tier certification, like OSCP, GAIAC, CISSP. B tier, I would consider like a relevant bachelor's degree, like a bachelor's in cybersecurity or something like this. And then C tier, I would consider like those like entry level certification, like CompTIA Security Plus. So if the candidate pool, because like the market is like bad right now, you know, because the market is bad right now, the competition is more. So hiring managers, they'll tend to pick from like A tier and S tier. There's probably no need at this point for them to like reach into like B tier and C tier. People with like B tier and C tier qualifications. So if there's already people with like actual experience, they're going to hire them. And if there's no people with actual experience, maybe they're going to get somebody with adjacent experience who has like one of the high tier certifications, for example. And if those don't exist, they'll probably start picking into like B tier and C tier. But if the only thing you have is like Security Plus, especially when the market is bad, it's going to be hard for you to get like a SOC analyst job. So I would recommend you like watch this video about the cybersecurity roadmap, and then fill in any gaps that you might have. So I'll put the link in both chats. Because if you don't have like, if you only have Security Plus, that basically means like maybe you have like an A tier of this, but I don't know like what the rest of this stuff looks like. And especially when the market is bad, you should consider like doing more beyond just getting Security Plus. So just like look at this and then identify any gaps that you have. Like watch the video and identify any gaps that you have and just kind of work to fill them. Because Security Plus is like enough to work in entry-level IT, but it's going to be hard to work in security with only that. It's not impossible, right, if you have social network or something, but Bork. How do I get entry-level cyber job if I don't want to do IT or help desk? Yeah, same thing for you, Bork. Look at this roadmap and consider your gaps if you have any, and then also consider like the tier list of things that employers care about. So if you want to work in cybersecurity, you have to have like your roadmap. Basically, this has to be all like maxed out. If you want to skip working in IT as much as you can, make experience for yourself, and then look at this like tier list and look at what the stuff you have. Like ask yourself like, do I have like any entry level certification? Do I have like education? Do I have any of the A tier certifications? Do I have any like actual experience, or do I know somebody who can refer me? And then just kind of work toward obtaining those things. That's like how to work in cybersecurity without having to work in IT first. You just have to basically like do extra and stand out from people. Insight. Hey, I had an interview for a help desk analyst role with IAM capabilities. I studied for technical questions, but most of the questions were scenario based, behavior based, and it kind of threw me off. Oh yeah, especially in like entry level IT, I've been finding that like as long as they can see that you can do some kind of technical thing, they'll just ask you a bunch of behavior and soft questions, because like help desk is like kind of high touch and you're dealing with people a lot. But that's kind of funny. Yeah, I recommend people to like practice like a bunch of behavior questions if they have an interview. So for example, this is inside the free cyber community. For those behavior questions, there's like a lot of different behavior questions that people can ask, and it's like hard to anticipate them. So, and if you're like sitting at home trying to prepare for like the behavioral questions where they say like, oh, tell me about a time when blah blah, tell me about a time when this, but you never had that time. It's okay to like lie about those. Like when they ask you about a situation, it's okay to lie, but you have to like prepare the lie ahead of time so you can like iron out the details in it, because they're going to ask you like more in-depth questions, and if you just like lie off the top of your head, it's going to be hard to like satisfy their answer. So or you can like kind of bend the truth and like bend the story or whatever so it becomes better. Yeah, these are I'll definitely practice like a lot of behavior questions and practice answering in star format as well. It's going to like help you quite a bit. Also, I want to get into IAM. You have a roadmap to get into that sector of cyber? Not yet, but me and my friend, well, Unix guy, have been like thinking about IAM, like an IAM offer, like how to teach people that. IAM is like not my main thing, but he's like really good at it, but we both like recognize there's like a market need, like a lot of people asking for IAM, but I didn't like make anything for that quite yet. Paul said, "Hi Josh, I sent you a message on LinkedIn seeking your advice. What degree to get at WGU will best suit my profile?" Okay, I'll check it later. I have somebody who like checks my LinkedIn for me, and they like forward me when people say stuff. I'll read your DM, but usually when people ask me what degree to get, I just like tell them, or I ask them like, do you have more time or do you have more money, and like what are your goals? Because pretty much like any degree is fine. So I generally tell people to like do what they're most interested in. But yeah, I'll read your DM and I'll properly respond to it. Eli, hey Josh, I'm currently interning for an IT support position while doing my CS associates. Do you still recommend the CS or cyber degree from WGU? Both of those are good. In my opinion, like just in terms of degree itself, like just to have it, the computer science degree, in my opinion, is better because it gives you like a stronger foundation, and then you're going to come out of that being able to like be at least pretty comfortable with coding. And it's easier to go from comp sci concepts into cybersecurity rather than from cybersecurity into computer science, because the computer science learning curve is too much. But I don't recommend trying to get computer science unless you're really interested in it, because you're going to have like really hard time if it's not interesting to you. Chris, do you think AS in cybersecurity is enough to break into the space, or would you say it's bachelor's or bust? No, it's enough because you have to consider the other stuff too, right? So Chris, basically is asking if associates in cyber is enough to work in cyber, and it is. We have to consider like the other stuff that you have or that you can get, right? So this is what you're saying. Like this is the roadmap for cybersecurity, and the more like quote unquote S tier this is, like the better you do on each one of these things, the more likely it is for you to get hired faster. And if degree, like you have associate's degree, I would consider this like C tier, right? Whereas no degree would be like F tier. And you can get into cyber like this, but you have to like address the other areas. Like regardless, you have to be really consistent. So you should be as consistent as possible. And I recommend like all this other stuff, especially when it comes to like getting an interview. So for example, you have to do a lot of stuff that helps you to get an interview. And if associate's degree is like the only thing that you have to help you get an interview, you don't really have like a lot going for you, right? So, you know, if you have an associate's degree and you have, you know, CompTIA Security plus one other cert, like a AWS or Azure cert, and then you have, maybe you have some like paper experience, maybe you like did the internship or something in the cyber range, or you made your own experience by like doing pro bono work. And then maybe your LinkedIn profile is like really, really good and it's fully optimized. Maybe you have like a really good resume and it's been like vetted by the community, etc. And then maybe you do like 5 high quality applications per day, right? Like you apply to like jobs that are brand new on the market, or there are areas where there's not tons of competition, and then you do like a reach out to the hiring manager, and then you apply directly to the site, and then you do a customized resume with keyword matching. Then, you know, you imagine like with your associate's degree, you have like much higher chance, right? So you can get it with an associate's degree or no degree, but you just have to like address all of the other areas, right? And then there's other stuff you have to do to kind of help you pass the interview, but like a degree falls into the camp of like helping you get an interview, if that makes sense. But you just have to like consider, you know, all of the other stuff that there is to consider, if that makes sense. I'm down to move to the middle of nowhere. Do you know where the competition is low? Yeah, you can just search on Indeed, or rather LinkedIn or something like this. On LinkedIn, you can see like how many job applicants any given job has. So you can go to Indeed and then search for like, I have like a keyword list, but search for stuff like around the whole US on LinkedIn, and then filter for less than 10 applicants. And then you can kind of get a sense for where it has like, you know, lower volume of applicants. What if you have A plus, network plus, security plus? How does employers view having all 3 of those and done some lab work? Yeah, so we can look at this. If you have certification falls into the camp of helping you get an interview more than passing in the interview. So if you have like all 3 of those, you know, I would consider that, you know, maybe super S tier or something for like an entry level cyber, right? And then what did you say? Some like lab work. So some portfolio. So this is what that looks like. If you have lab work, if you have like certification, and then you have some projects, there's still stuff you have to like worry about when it comes to helping you to get an interview. So for example, there's still like, you know, I recommend making actual experience. I kind of recommend, if you can stomach it, I recommend making content because it helps with your social network. And then, you know, if you have like all those certifications you're talking about, but your resume is like really bad. I've seen like so many really bad resumes. A lot of people think their resume is like good or average, but most people's resume is like quite bad. So you have to like really make sure your resume is squared away, because it don't matter like what you have on it if like the ATS can't read it, or if it's like a mess, right? And then there's other stuff that you can care about as well, other than just like the projects. I just want to like get it in people's mind. People always asking like, what if I have like, you know, CISSP? I'm like, yeah, you can get a job with that, but there's like, you have to care about everything else, and like the presentation of your credentials and all that. You have to care about all those things. Scream, if you have no minimal experience, should you just get into Helpdesk or do labs on the side and work towards net admin? You can do either one of those things if you have no minimal experience. I kind of recommend, well, it depends on if you have like disposable income or not, like how much time and energy you have. And I generally, like from an economic standpoint, it's kind of better to work in Helpdesk because you can start getting money right away. But if you can work, if you don't need to get extra money for a while, you can spend extra time to kind of max out your your roadmap. And if you want experience, you can always like do pro bono work, or you can do like the CyberRange, because there's like the internship in there. And I've been doing like a lot of employment verification recently. Like the company will email me and verify employment for interns. It really works actually. So that's one thing you could do. After completing the CyberRange internship, is it necessary to get an A tier certification? I wouldn't say like anything is like necessary per se, but I recommend people to like get at least some certification that HR knows about, if that makes sense, because it just helps your case a lot especially when you're brand new trying to break into the field. So for example, so this could be like Security Plus and then like an Azure cert, or it could be like CCNA and then some other random cert. It just has to be like something that HR, people know about, that has hits like when you search for it on a job board, and then, maybe one other cert that gives you knowledge or something. Hey Josh, any advice for someone who feels pain for sitting down for long periods of time when they're trying to study? What is your best way of feeling physically ready to study? Damn. I might stand up if I were you, to be honest. A lot of people like stand when they study, like a standing desk and like like a treadmill desk or something. That's like really expensive. I don't stand when I study, but maybe you could set a timer for like 30 minutes and just keep standing up, and then try to exercise. Helps a lot. Hey Josh, first question is about Threat Hunt. I got to the third part, identifying the process file name and other tips. I leveraged ChatGPT and dug deeper beyond, but explore.exe. So this person's talking about we have like a Threat Hunt competition, like a couple times a month, I guess. So basically, you have to look for the process that's acting on the file name. So I'll tell you to look in the device process events table, and then look in the process command line field for the file name, and then you'll find the process. Because the process is not explore.exe, it's something else. So look in the device, what is that? Device process events table, and then look in the process command line field. Zachary, I'm 15, 100% sure I want to do IT for a career. What are some things I can do right now while in high school? To be honest, I might start, it depends on like how far you are. If you're in high school and you have like a lot of extra time, I might start doing like cloud certifications, maybe like CCNA and then some cloud certifications if you have like a lot of time. Okay, if you're interested in networking at all, I would get CCNA, and then I would start going down like one of the cloud paths, like Azure or AWS or something, and then just go like as far as you can. Because it'd be nice if you can graduate high school with like a whole bunch of like certifications and like experience. And then if you have like if you have like time, you can do like, or if you have money, you can do the CyberRange, what's it called? The CyberRange internship. And then you have like experience before you get out of high school. That'd be nice. Any genuine advice on relationships and time management for someone getting into cybersecurity or aspiring to travel and start a business as you have? I can't really give relationship advice. I can give advice on like how to get people to like you and how to like get a girlfriend, but I can't give any good advice on how to keep how to keep your girlfriend or how to keep your wife. I don't know like what kind of like relationship you have, but if your partner is smart, even if you're like poor in studying, they should be able to like have some foresight into like seeing that you're going to do well for yourself, and they should just like support you, to be honest. But it's really good to like communicate like what you want to do ahead of time, because if you're like, oh, I'm not going to have much time, maybe we have like 1 day per week or something where we can hang out. If you have that expectation ahead of time, you can kind of like gauge how they'll behave. For time management is something else. I can kind of give advice on this, but basically like I'm really stoic in the sense that I'm like really aware of my own mortality and like how little time like we actually have on the world, right? And then if you narrow that down to like, okay, how many waking hours you have, okay, how many hours where I'm awake where I can actually work on this, it's like not very much time. And if you see how much time you like spend on your phone, it's like a lot. It's like several hours per day of like doing nothing. So the best thing to do is just like start measuring how you use your time. You can use like that app on your phone where it can kind of measure how much you use your phone, and then just be cognizant about the other stuff that you're doing. The best way to kind of like combat that is to do the most important stuff early in the day. Do the most important stuff like early in the day when you have like enough energy. Do you think there's age bias in cybersecurity? There is age bias literally everywhere, but between like software engineering, IT, and cybersecurity, cybersecurity has the least amount of age bias, because I see like a lot of people in cybersecurity who like older than me, like 50 and like 60 and stuff. Because there's too many domains of cybersecurity. There's like, you know, business continuity and like risk and like all this stuff, right? Where like software engineering tends to like exploit younger people, and IT is like somewhere in between. There's not that much ageism in IT, but it depends on like where you're working. But yeah, it's not too bad. And I got a $7 super chat from Scream. Thank you so much. They said, wait, you have an internship that people can apply to? Is it remote? Just for the experience, I have AAS 4 months. The internship is like part of the cyber range. So the cyber range costs money. It's like $97 a month for however long you use it. But basically the cyber range is like, it's just like a normal work environment with a lot of enterprise security tools and stuff in there. And there's also like a lot of courses that go over like how to use those tools. So for example, there's like a full-on vulnerability management course, and then there's a full-on like a threat hunting and security operations course, among other things. But the internship, it's basically, there's like 3 different things you can do. Like the first thing is just like providing general support for like other members who are like stuck from a technical standpoint. You can get internship experience for those. And then the second thing is like doing vulnerability management tasks. You would create like automated remediations using PowerShell. And then the third kind of thing you can do in the internship is create threat hunting tabletop scenarios for like incident response. And then I will like repurpose the stuff that you make for labs and the threat hunting competition. So it is like a normal real internship, and it's remote. And then basically like the way that it works is right here where you like learn the stuff that you can do and like you learn how to do it. But basically how the internship works is you fill this out, and then whenever you do like an internship task, you like record it here like so. And then depending on like how many you do, you can have like a different title. And then when the employer reaches out to me, they'll like either call or email, and they'll be like, oh, like how's like, you know, I want to verify employment for Josh. Like, what do they do? How long did they work? Then I have like a spreadsheet of everybody's like this thing, and then I can pull it up, and then I can kind of see all your work here. And then I can describe your work to the employer who's trying to verify your work, and then I'll give the reference that way. But yeah, there's an internship. It works. I do like at least one employment verification per week, at least. Hey Josh, I just joined the platform today. Oh, welcome. I appreciate you. Does the portfolio part of the CyberRange internship help you set up and optimize a GitHub profile? Yeah, it does. And then there's like a whole portfolio section where we create like the vulnerability management project, and then the threat hunting project, and then it shows how to like create the whole portfolio and like pretty much everything. So yeah, it does. I think this is actually in the free community, the portfolio. But like the projects and stuff are in the paid community. But you can see the actual portfolio content in the free community. So I'll like link those to you. Josh, where can I get resources to learn about AI security? I don't know. That's a good question. Like AI specifically, I'm not sure. I'm sure like NIST and them are gonna start like making publications around that. But that's a good question. What type of courses do I need to do in course careers for like working for Rockstar Games or any other gaming company? Thank you. The gaming, well, it depends on like what you want to do, but the gaming industry is like really competitive, and I hear they abuse the heck out of people in there. But because it's competitive, you just have to like get really good in a lot of different areas, and I would work on your social network a lot as well. So anywhere competitive, you just have to be like really, really good. So like one thing you can do is just, you know, make a similar roadmap to this, but for like whatever, the gaming industry or computer science in the gaming industry or like IT in the gaming industry, like wherever, like, you know, whatever discipline you want to work, and then just make sure to max it out a lot with like certifications and like social network and like all of that stuff. This is basically like a employability framework, and it's stuff that you need to care about in order to get hired. Basically, like anywhere, not only like cybersecurity. So the whole idea is to like get an interview and then pass an interview. But for somewhere that's like super hyper competitive, I would recommend like building up your social network as well. You can like get by without having any social network in the start if you're like a god tier for like everything else. But if it's like really competitive, think about like, you know, becoming, well, I won't say this, but like in the gaming industry or anywhere that's really competitive, I would figure out how to like start building your social network. And there's like a lot that can be said about this. It's like difficult to do, but that's what I'd recommend. So just cover all your bases as good as you can and care about your social network at the same time. Sorry, what happened to the crypto channel, by the way? I was looking forward to that. Yeah, so I don't care about cryptocurrency anymore, like at all. You can get like decent gains from there, but I came to like two primary realizations. One, if I invest in myself and I get really, really good at business, if I invest in myself and get really, really good at business, I can make a lot more returns than just dumping my normal person money into cryptocurrency and hoping that it does well. Because you can make huge returns in business, and that actually like proved to be true. So I just didn't give a shit about crypto anymore after that. And then the second kind of big realization I had is that crypto has like real world use cases. Like it's useful because it has like a immutable public ledger, and it's really, really useful. But the whole like crypto industry is just driven by greed and ignorance. And it's just really stupid. There's definitely use cases for crypto, especially Ethereum. It's like really, really crazy. It's really good. But the whole thing of like the tokens like costing too much money and like too much scamming, the whole thing is just like, it's literally like driven by greed, and it's really, really stupid. So I just shifted into like investing a lot of my time, money, and energy into myself, and then into my team as well, instead of dumping it into crypto, because I can control that, whereas I can't control crypto. I can't control the laws around it. I can't control the platforms. It's just like a huge pain in the ass to deal with. So I stopped caring about it. Yeah. Richard, I have an MS in Network Security, Security Plus, and 4 years of IT. I keep getting imposter syndrome. I don't know if I'm ready for a security analyst position. Yeah, the only thing I can say is you would do good. You would do well. It just takes like some effort, right? And if you can learn English, and if you can manage to get a master's degree, and if you can manage to like get all those certs, you can most certainly do well in a security analyst role. It's just a matter of like getting used to their business processes and getting used to like probably a few like products or something. But it's probably really easy if you want to. I hate to like shill my my product all the time, but doing the cyber range will like really warm you up to that, because the cyber range, it's like an actual normal work environment. Like you'll log into Azure, and then you'll be able to see Sentinel and create analytics rules and spin up events and work like an incident to completion inside of like the cyber range. And then you can log into Tenable and conduct a scan, and you can pretty much like act out normal work stuff, because the environment is like actual real environment, and there's like 500 something users in there now, and they're all making logs with like hundreds of other VMs and other infrastructure. It is like a normal work environment. So you could do that and kind of get used to it if you want. You can use some analyst tools, but I think that you're fine. You can probably just apply and like do your best once you get hired. There's almost never any training, but it's usually comes down to you just being proactive and getting used to business process. I don't think you have anything to worry about. And the fact that you have imposter syndrome means that you're not a sociopath and you're just like a normal person. So just like do your best. I think that you'll be fine. Hey Josh, I've certs like CPTS, I don't know what that is, along with the Cybermeter, TCM Security, and IANE certificates, but I'm not sure if I need to take Security Plus or retake OSCP to increase my chances. So basically the way I think about certification is certification can help you in two ways. Like one way, like people know what it is and it will keyword match on your resume. And then the second way is the knowledge inside of the certification can help you. And the fact that like I don't actually know what this is. I know what TCM security and IANE is, but I can almost guarantee if you search any of these certifications like in Indeed, on Indeed, there's not going to be like very many job hits. So I might recommend like Security Plus, for example, has a lot of job hits. For example, like TCM security is good and Heath is like really good. I don't know if this is gonna like work. It might pull up like his jobs. Like see how like 3 things came out only. And if I search TCM, probably I think TCM is like too generic of a term. I don't think this is gonna be like Heath's stuff. But if you search, for example, like CompTIA security, you're gonna be like several thousand, right? And OSCP is at least gonna be 1,000. See like 3,000 OSCP. So it's these other certifications you have, they're like probably good, but people don't know what it is. So you might consider getting Security Plus and OSCP just for those like to have stuff on your resume that people knows what it is. And OSCP is like really goddamn hard for, those who don't know. Are there any other labs or course content you plan on adding to the cyber range? Yeah, we do maybe like 2 threat hunts weekly, which is kind of like a big lab. It's the actual threat hunt where you can earn money. It's like a competition. And then I plan to redo like the building the Soc Lab, the other course, and then I'm going to put that in the cyber range. And then I'm thinking to do some kind of like IAM or coding content as well, but I'm still thinking about that. I'm going to like release several videos on YouTube, and then probably the one that gets the most attention, I'll make a course around that, if that makes sense. So yeah, I do plan to do more, but I'm trying to like decide what to do. Josh, do you take any supplements or hacks on studying for long periods of time? Yeah, so I don't take supplements for studying. I take supplements. I take Brian Johnson stack. I don't take this like religiously, but I have it here. I'm in Thailand. I don't know if you can see this. I like brought it. If you don't know who Brian Johnson is, just go to YouTube and type Brian Johnson Don't Die, and he has like a really high quality supplement stack. So I take that, but I don't take anything to like make me study better. I have Adderall. I have it, not in Thailand, but I have it, and that shit is like, it's magical, but it feels like really unnatural. So I don't usually take it. It's been like more than a month since I've taken Adderall. But when you take Adderall, it turns you into like 200 IQ with like maximum focus. It's like really crazy. Yeah, it's really crazy. But other than Adderall, I don't take anything. And I really rarely take Adderall. It's like, I feel like I'm like trading my life force when I take Adderall. So I tend to not take it unless I have like an emergency. What's the most important thing to be very proficient for a Soc Analyst Level 1 job? Probably like, to be honest, like 50% interpersonal. Like you have to be like really proactive, because there's almost never training in those jobs. So you don't be scared to be proactive and like try to like ask people for help and like just be proactive with your learning, right? Because even if you have like those basic knowledge like Security Plus and like whatever, it should be relatively easy for you to learn like the technology and business process and everything, but it can be difficult to like get up to speed in the sense that people aren't going to like tell you what to do. Usually you have to be like kind of proactive about it. So if you have like a good baseline understanding of like how a SIM works and like logging and like these kind of basic stuff, and you understand security at like a Security Plus level, check out the cyber range for all of those things. It will definitely help you to learn how to use a SIM. If you can do all of that stuff, it just comes down to like being proactive and like being nice to your coworkers and like asking for help, if that makes sense.
Hey, Josh, are we allowed to ask questions on the mic now? I'm just,
Yeah.
oh, I have
Yeah,
a,
yeah, you're allowed.
I was just thinking back to like last year. I'll try to make it quick. I had an interview. It was a data loss prevention type of cyber role, and the hiring manager asked me a question, and he was asking me, and he said, "Don't overthink it." He was saying something up to the effect of, "What would you do if data was already like exfiltrated from the company or like taken off the network? Like, what would you do basically if someone got into it?" And he's like, "Don't overthink it." And that type of question, it kind of threw me off because I didn't know where he was really trying to get at with that type of question.
Yeah, that's a good question. To be honest, like those questions, I don't know if there's like an industry best practice, like when data is like already outside. It depends on like what the data is, to be honest. His question like depends on what the data is, because if it's like if it's protected health information, for example, there's like a law where you have to notify the people in like a certain amount of time, or like cardholder data too. There's like a law what you have to do if the data is like out already. But if it's just like a normal company data, I would just answer it in terms of like the normal incident response life cycle, like contain, eradicate, and stuff. So containment would be like prevent any more from like getting out, whether that's like isolating the affected systems or whatever. But I would just work the normal incident response life cycle. But if it were me, I would have asked him like what kind of data it was, because depending on the data depends on like what you're going to do afterwards. And like I don't know the laws around those. I'd have to like look it up. But do you remember like how you answered, and do you remember like what he said afterwards?
Well, yeah, I pretty much answered it in a way that you did. I was like, well, it would depend on the type of data, and then also it would I would, like I said, I would try to remove that device off the network so it wouldn't continue to have more data go out. So that's kind of like how I answered it. But I know like HIPAA laws and different things of that nature, and then there's like your social and there's different things. So I pretty much answered it to that effect. But he never really, sometimes when you're in an interview, like they'll basically give you that reassurance, like, yeah, okay, that's kind of like what we're looking for sometimes. So, but he kind of was like, don't overthink it. And I was just like, I don't know. It was hard to read him, but I pretty much answered it in the way that you did.
Yeah, it sounds like if someone gave me that answer, I'd be fine with it. But I don't like when people like don't overthink it, because like you can answer the question like too many different ways. Like I don't know what that dude is like thinking, to be honest. But it sounds like you answered okay. Did you get like a result for the interview yet, or was this like a long time ago?
This is a while back. It was actually a referral I got to the job, and it was really weird. I didn't end up getting it, but it was like the hiring manager wanted to get my number. I talked to him before the interview, but the guy that referred me to the role basically said that they didn't have the budget. That's why they didn't hire me. So yeah.
Oh damn. Well, that's too bad. But I mean, it sounds like you interviewed decently anyway. Yeah. Thanks for the question. That's a good question, actually. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT that later and see what it comes up with. I'm gonna um make an interview question Anki deck today as well, so maybe I'll like include that in there. Why is there so much competition for jobs in the cybersecurity industry? Is it because companies overhired during COVID? Because they thought we'd always be 100%. 100% remote. I don't know, to be honest. I think. Oh, I watched a video that not Grant Williams. Oh my God, Grant Collins. Grant Williams is somebody else I know. Sorry, Grant. Grant Collins is another YouTuber. I watched a video that he did, and in his video, his like theory was, because I think it was him. I'm sorry if it's not Grant, but his theory was there's still like a lot of jobs available, but more people know about cybersecurity and more people are like trying to get into cybersecurity. So it's not like there's less jobs. There's just like a ton of people. It's probably COVID's fault, because a lot of those like tech stuff got really popular during COVID. And then during COVID, a lot of people were like, well, I'm going to go to school for cybersecurity. And they did. And then they graduated in like 2025. And then like here we are with like a bunch of people trying to get into cybersecurity. I assume that's what's happening, but I don't know, to be honest. But there's a lot of jobs still, and you can go out and like get a job, but you just have to be like cognizant of the competition, and then make sure that you are elevating yourself up in terms of like the tier of stuff that you have that employers care about, and then the whole like roadmap thing as well. You just have to make sure you're squared away. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm gonna get like security plus and then apply to jobs, but it's like it's almost nothing. It's like not enough, right? Because everyone can just get security plus. You have to do more than that, unless you apply to jobs where there's like no competition. Yeah. Oh, hi Tracy. Hey Josh. Was looking forward today all week. My question is, how can someone ensure they're not falling into bad cybersecurity habits or misinformation as they learn? That's a good question. And falling into bad habits is something I think about a lot. Like this is not related, but in terms of like editors. So like this is, I'll relate this to cybersecurity, I promise. So when you're like learning editing, so I have like a team and there's like editors and we're spread around the world, right? There's like 7 people, and the way you like physically edit, like using Premiere Pro, there's like many infinite different ways to like do stuff, like use keystrokes and like make your layout good. And there's like, it's easy to fall into bad habits into doing stuff that makes you slow. So I think the best way to combat this is we like get together sometimes and we can like observe each other like as they're editing, to be like, oh, there's like a better way to do this. Oh, don't do that. It's like really slow. So I think the best way to like not fall into bad habits is to like probably get exposure to like other people, or like try to work with other people, or like listen to what other people are doing. So like listen to podcasts and like reading what other people are doing. But it's it's good if you have like some kind of like in-person environment where you can like ask people stuff and like observe like what they're doing. But that's how we do it. We just like observe each other and just kind of make sure that no one's like doing some like really bad habit, and just try to get exposure so you're not like in your own echo chamber, or like in an echo chamber of Reddit, for example. That's the first thing that came to mind when you said like bad habits or misinformation. So like just try to have like a diverse source of information and a diverse audience that you can interact with. Yeah, that's, I don't know if that's like the best answer, but just observing other people and making sure what you're doing is not like, suboptimal, if that makes sense. Oh, Chris Herzig with the $10. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say thank you for being a positive influence in the cyber community. I'm doing WGU Masters in Cyber and did your old cyber course. You were instrumental in my career change. You rock. Thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate that a lot. I'm glad that you liked the old course as well. That's very cool. I hope you're enjoying the master's degree. I found it like really similar to my job that I was doing at the time, like the cyber masters. It was like literally like in line with what I was doing, and I could finish it so fast because I felt like I was doing work. It was really like relevant. Do you recommend doing your IT course before your cyber course? If you're new or novice to IT, you can. I don't like telling people to do that because it's not a requirement, and it's like $500, right? The IT course. It's good, and if you did it, you would come out better for it. But if you want to do cybersecurity, you could technically do like the Google IT support certificate, because that thing is like almost free and it's really good. The difference between like my IT course and the Google IT support thing is the Google IT support one is like really broad and it will teach you like a lot of like broad stuff. And then my IT course it teaches you some IT fundamentals, but it goes like really deep into like a Active Directory and then ticketing systems and like file permissions and like network troubleshooting, like this stuff that's like really specific to Helpdesk. I cover those and make like a portfolio around those, and we build like a ticketing system. So mine is like, my IT course is like it's really like on the job technology, like really in line with like modern day Helpdesk. And then Google IT support is like really broad knowledge of like a bunch of like kind of, I don't want to say random knowledge because it's useful, but it's like a lot of broad theory, where mine is like really heavy into like practical stuff. So you don't have to do those. And if you have like unlimited money, I recommend you to do it. But if you want to save money, then just do like Google IT support or Google cybersecurity support, and then do like CyberRange after this. That's what I'd recommend. But yeah, you can ask me any kind of questions. I'm not trying to like maximize the money that people spend, because there's like, a lot of different ways to do everything. But someone said you have to be the top 1%. Having a blog or YouTube channel about cybersecurity just to get noticed. That's just one way around the mountain. So I basically like included what you're saying in the roadmap here, because it is really useful, and it helps with your social network too. Like making content is like a hack for a social network, and social network is really the actual play for trying to get jobs. You want to like go for having a social network. It just takes time to build up. And the best way to get social network is to make content. It's like the best way to get social network. So for example, I met like Unix guy in Dubai, and I met a bunch of people in Dubai, and I got a business deal in Dubai because I was doing content. And I got to meet Sandra, like cybersecurity Sandra, like in Japan, in person, doing like an interview, just because I was doing content. and I've gotten a lot of free jobs because I was doing content. So it's really good, and that's why I included it in the roadmap. So for example, long form content creation, and I even like give some ideas for it. And you can copy the stuff that's in the CyberRange. You can do the CyberRange labs as content and put it on YouTube. Like I don't care, right? You don't have to be like, oh, Josh's content is getting leaked. No, you can do like the vulnerability management content. You can go through it like 10 times on your own so you know how to do it really well. And then you can do it and do a demo and explain it. And then you can just make a bunch of content about that. And I guarantee at least some people are going to watch it as long as your audio and stuff is good. And I outlined some stuff that you can do to help with it. So it's important and it's good to have, but obviously it's like not required because not everybody does content or has a blog, right? But it is a really good way to like help you get an interview and pass an interview, because people can like see how you talk, right, on YouTube. They can see like how you are and how you articulate your ideas and like all the stuff, and it removes a whole bunch of uncertainty from them, and it's just really good. Not to mention, before you create content, you have to spend a long time researching and like learning the stuff. So it's just really useful to make content, and I highly like recommend it, right? It's just really good. Josh, how do you overcome burnouts in life? Any tips for me? Yeah, you just have to take a rest. All these like influencers or whatever, like Andrew Tate is like, I don't get burned out, like blah blah blah. You just have to work, and it's true. I still work even though I get burned out, but when I get burned out, there's like it's usually like a section of your brain that gets burned out. You can still like do something else if you're burned out. So for me, I tend to like just work as hard as I can until I get like burned out, and then I will like do something else during that burnout time. Like maybe I'll probably play more video games during that time, but I'll usually like study something else or like get good at something else or start looking into like something else while I'm letting the burnout section of my brain recover, if that makes sense. If you want to be efficient, you just gotta stop doing what you're doing for a while and do something else that's adjacent and useful, because you can still kind of do something else and have it be helpful, if that makes sense. Hey Josh, had my third and final interview a week ago and haven't heard anything back. What do you think? Did I get ghosted? Or I don't know. It's really hard because like employers, like big employers, don't really care about like you or your schedule. They're not going to be like, oh, okay, I'll let you know. Like they just don't give a shit. So it's possible they're just like running behind, or you got ghosted, or they hired somebody else. It's just really hard to tell. So if I were you, I would just like reach out to them, to be honest, and just ask them really nicely. I would just ask. It's hard to know because the employer, like, they don't care. So I would just ask them. It's your fault, Josh. Stop making cybersecurity accessible. Oh, I never thought about that. I probably contribute to it at least a little bit because my channel has like, a few like million views on it, right? And at least some of those people are trying to get into cybersecurity. Since I graduated from WGU, I haven't found it to be particularly noticed by employers and job applications. Can you touch on the reason behind this? Yeah, I can. It's because employers like don't care about master's degrees, really. And I don't mean that in like a dickhead way, because I have the same degree. I have it. I noticed there was like a huge difference when I got CISSP versus the master's degree. The employer like don't care about master's degree, really. Basically, like this is how it is. Because like if you think about it, like most of my CISOs, like they don't, like the chief information security officers, like a lot of them didn't have master's degree, just like a bachelor's in business or something. Master's is just like it's like a frosting on the cake or like a feather in your hat or something like this. And in my opinion, master's falls in under B tier, like along with a bachelor's degree. It's not something that employers like care about when it comes to like tech or like, yeah, tech in general. They don't really care unless you're doing some crazy thing like a semiconductor like designing or some crazy thing like this, right? It falls here. This is why like I always recommend people to get like, if you're considering to get a master's degree in cybersecurity, I always recommend to just get like CISSP instead, because it's faster, it's cheaper, employers care about it more, and it's just like it makes a huge difference when like getting interviews. It's really good. So it's good that you have your master's degree, because like I got mine too. I don't want to be like, you wasted your time because you didn't. You got something out of it, and it's good to have. But Once you get CISSP, it's going to make like a much bigger difference. A bigger difference. Yeah. Wait, I heard you say Helpdesk. You got a course on practical Helpdesk training, or is it purely cybersecurity? Oh, I have an IT one. And the people who get jobs like really fast with that, it's usually around like 40 to 45K. Their salaries like usually around 40 to 45K. And people are like, that's so low. That's a low salary for IT, and it kind of is. But if you can get a job in like 6 weeks or even 8 weeks, paying like $20 an hour, it's kind of like you were able to change your career and start getting experience in like only 2 months. And you can always think about it like you're getting paid to do training. Like you're getting paid $20 an hour to do training to where you can go and like get a better job. So people are always criticizing, but the way they think about it is like not the best in my opinion. But yeah, the IT course is really good actually. Is YouTube the only way you promote your business? Yeah, I try to like, so I could talk about this a lot. I try to be like really ethical because YouTube is basically, when you have a product like I do, YouTube is like basically marketing. It's like basically marketing, and you can be like a dickhead about like the way you market, or you can try to be like ethical about it. So when I make content and I do like live streams and stuff, I try to be like as ethical as possible, and I try to make content that's like actually useful, and I try to also provide avenues for people where they can get to their goal without using my product that costs money. I always do this. So I always like offer some like alternative way that people can do it for free. So yeah, like YouTube is the only way I promote my business. I don't usually I don't buy paid ads or anything like this. I try to do mostly by YouTube and like word of mouth and this kind of thing. And if you don't use paid ads, you have to have like a decent reputation, because if my reputation like getting bad and I'm only relying on content, people are just gonna like not buy my stuff, and I'm gonna like become irrelevant. So yeah, I currently only use YouTube. Yeah, YouTube and like Instagram and LinkedIn, like etc. Yeah. I want to do the cyber range, but should I do anything before getting into it? I have significant coding but no cyber experience. So if there's like a section in the cyber range that talks about like what to do if you're like a brand new person, so I'll like show it to you actually. But there's stuff that I recommend you to do to like save money. So for example, if you pretend like you just bought the cyber range like right now, and then you would go through this like starting here module, it's like really fast. And then you would start on the general cybersecurity theory. And then like the very first thing, there's this module called covering all your bases. And it talks about like a lot of stuff that you can do to like kind of ramp yourself up before like doing the hands-on portion of it. So if you want to like save money and everything, you could go through like the Google Cybersecurity certificate or like that course and just like go through all of it and just learn that stuff, and then you'll have a nice security foundation, and then a lot of the stuff in the cyber range will tend to like make more sense to you. But if you just got the cyber range like right now and went into it with nothing, you would probably be okay, but your learning curve would be like kind of high, if that makes sense. Because there's stuff in here like I tell you like what to do to like ramp up, but you can do those things without spending money on the cyber range first. So I'll just either go through the Security Plus curriculum or go through like Google Cybersecurity, the Google Cybersecurity course, and then you'll have a good enough foundation to like make sense of the stuff that's in the cyber range, if that makes sense. How do you feel about the Red Hat something solutions architect being a top entry level cert? I think it's good. I don't remember like how popular that is or how much people know about it. I know it's well known, but it's like kind of well known. I think it's good, but people don't know about it as much as like Security Plus or like CCNA, but it's like a Linux cert. I think out of all the Linux certs, it's probably the most well-known path, those like Red Hat ones, but I think it's probably pretty good. But I don't have it, and like I can't really speak on it beyond like it having job hits in Indeed. I'm not getting offers after a final round of interviews, despite subjectively conducting very good interviews. Subjectively, I'd have to like ask what you mean about that. But what else do you think I can do? I have been stuck at the gate but can't get the offer. I would look at a couple of things. I'm about to bust out a new chart. Basically, this left side, this is like the employability framework where it comes to like job hunting, like being like good employable person in general. And then this past interview section, this is like where you're having trouble with, right? So ignoring like social network for now, we'll just like ignore this. You have to like look at like how good your interview skill is. If your like technical ability and like foundational knowledge and stuff is good, and you find that you're able to answer questions really well, and it's not a problem, you might like look into your self presentation section of it. I don't know like how you are. You could be like presenting yourself like really well. Like I don't know, but this stuff over here, this is basically like a framework of how to like be like a I don't know the best way to say it. To be like, this is mostly for males because I don't know like how females like go about life and stuff. Like I don't have experience with that, but for a guy, this is kind of like a framework that I made to like increase your likability. And this green stuff, this is like physical things like grooming and just basically like halo effect things. You know, halo effect is like the better you look and like the better you appear, the more people trust you and the more people they'll like you more, like the better you appear. And the green stuff is like a halo effect things in terms of like your physical appearance. So it's stuff that you should like address, right? So make sure your smile and teeth is like good as possible. Your hair, it should be good, and you could even like go so far as to caring about your hairline. Like I'm balding anyway. I don't know if you can like see it, but I didn't get a hair transplant, but I have like this is like actual tattoo. Because if you have a hairline, it frames your face better and it tends to like make your face look better. And there's like clothing, make sure your clothes fit and they're appropriate, and your grooming and hygiene, all this stuff should be like really like taken care of like really well. And then this or kind of yellow area is like Holy Trinity, but your physique and health should be good too, because this kind of is part of the the halo effect, like when you're interviewing. So basically like all this green stuff, and this green stuff with like the red around it, this is like stuff that you can't really control. That it does matter sometimes, because if you're you're half black and your interviewer hates half black people, it's going to affect you, right? It's something that matters, but I can't do anything about it, right? That's what like the red signifies, that it's stuff that matters, but you can't really do anything about it. Like they don't like your height, your voice. It's stuff that you can acknowledge, but you can't do anything about. And then the stuff in blue is like character traits, and this matters in your interview as well. And so the blue stuff is like character traits, and this matters when you're interviewing as well, because if you are, for example, having all these traits is what kind of makes you into someone that other people want to be around. And the interview and the panel, like they don't think about this, but they're like gauging all of these things actively. Like your humility is a big one in tech, because a lot of people are like too cocky. Like the opposite of humility is like what is like arrogance, right? And the opposite of like empathy is like sociopathy maybe. And the opposite of kindness obviously is like being a dickhead. So you want to make sure that you embody these qualities and they're like coming out in the interview, if that makes sense. As well as like your discipline will be like apparent based on the stuff that you say and like how you look, right? And if you have like you don't have to be like completely jacked, but if you have like a good physique, that's indicative of good discipline, if that makes sense. And general competence is good in your interview as well. And like flexibility is important in cybersecurity as well as like general life, because if you're not flexible in real life, you just come across as annoying to people, like somebody who's hard to deal with. And in the lens of like cybersecurity, if you're not flexible, that would come in the form of like not accommodating business need, because there's a lot of people in cybersecurity when they interview, like they'll ask you a question like what do you do with if like the server admin refuses to like patch their thing because it's going to bring down the line of business app? If somebody doesn't know any better, they'll be like, oh, I'm going to like make them to like patch it, blah, blah, blah. But they missed that crucial part of the question where like it stops a line of business app from working. So you have to like show like general competence in cybersecurity and flexibility, in the sense that like, okay, I can't patch the thing, so I'm going to develop a plan of action and milestone to where we can properly address it in the future, and then maybe for now we'll implement like a compensating control that will reduce the risk a bit while still allowing the business to like do their business stuff pretty much. And if you're like negative in the interview a lot too, like, oh, my previous employer was like a piece of shit, all this like blue and green stuff, it matters for like this thing primarily, to be honest, was for males like trying to like be at the point where they can like get a girlfriend, right? But this is actually applies to like work as well, and you need to like worry about all these like blue and green stuff when you're actually in the interview too. It's like really matters, because if you imagine like you're the absolute like Chad of all Chads, sorry, but you also have like high level of humility and empathy and discipline during the interview, it's going to be easier to get a job, rather than, you know, if all of these things were suffering, right? So if you're getting interviews, it means you're doing like a really good job with like, you know, the get interview portion of things. So pass interview, just like hit all of the stuff, and then this chart is like an even like deeper dive into like how to like be good when you actually like go to the interview from a non-technical standpoint, if that makes sense. It was like a lot, and that like personal chart is not something I talk about on my channel, because it gets like kind of like, I don't know, deep or whatever. But yeah, I hope this makes sense. What are some volunteer opportunities or pro bono work that can provide practical cybersecurity experience? So let me share my screen one more time. I'm gonna try to find. So this is actually it's actually in this roadmap that everyone is like looking at already. If you go to the tab on the bottom, there's like CIS controls. And then if you click on this will open up this thing. So basically like CIS stands for Center for Internet Security. And it's like they make like it's basically like a benchmark of stuff that you can like measure your business against and like see which of the things you're doing. So for example, if you look on controls here, this is like a bunch of stuff, right, that you can do. Establish and maintain a detailed inventory, address unauthorized assets, like stuff that you can do. So one thing you could do is you could get familiar with the spreadsheet. It's basically like a checklist it's like a really like light kind of high level checklist to see like how good your security hygiene is in your business. So I would get used to this, like kind of familiarize yourself with this. And then you could just like get like a list or look in the whatever Google Maps or something for like a list of small local businesses, and then you could just call them individually, like one at a time, or just like show up for like small medical practices or like a law office or something like this, or like any business, and be like, oh, I'm like a new cybersecurity professional. I have like a business and I'm hoping to do some pro bono work for you. Can I do like a security assessment for you? And then at least if you ask like 100 people, at least some of them should say yes, because it's free, right? And the more legit you look, like if you have like a site and like a presence, I spilled my coffee, a presence online, at least some people will say yes. So when they say yes, you can just like show up with your laptop and stuff, and then you don't have to like ask them every single one of these. So for example, I forget exactly how this works, but there's like different levels of these controls. Like IG3 is like the most stringent one. So you could just stick to asking them like only IG1 questions to like narrow it down a bit. So you can remove the blanks and say, okay. And then you could just basically like go down this list and then ask them the questions and then mark down like their answer. And then you could come up with like primary control recommendation for them. Like this is what you should do. And then if you don't have any money, you can recommend them like a compensating control. Like you would mark down all the stuff that they told you right during your interview or your meeting. You can even like bring them a Starbucks, and then you would go home and then analyze their stuff and then recommend them some primary controls and then recommend them a secondary thing that they can do if they don't have money or they don't want to spend money. And then you produce that report for them and then give it to them, and then you can just ask them if you can use them as like a referral or like a, something like this to verify employment. And this is like way better than doing nothing at all, right? it's way better than doing nothing at all. And I've done this for somebody before, but it wasn't in the sense that like I went out and found them. They just asked me to do it for them, and I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. So yeah, that's just like one thing you can do. But yeah, it's this spreadsheet it's already in that roadmap thing that everybody's like looking at already, but I'll put it in the chat actually. So I hope that makes sense. How has community been for the cyber range? I love the idea that the internship gives real world experience, creating stakes, threat hunting, etc. Is there a public private Discord? There's not a Discord. There's just like the community thing, because there's like a gamification in there. So I'll show you. So there's not a Discord anymore, because we use those like a gamification inside of the cyber community. So for example, let me find somebody. Oh, like this, I'll look at Simon. So for example, you see like there's like a 4 around his name. Like if you click it, there's like levels in the community and the range, if that makes sense. So like the more you contribute, and like if people like your posts, then you get like ranking, and then you get like whatever. You get like a higher rank, and then I can create modules and stuff in courses that unlock if your rank is high enough. So I'm planning to do more of that, but tend to use like the school community instead of Discord, because there's like that rank. There's like just a lot of features inside of school that they're kind of cool and like kind of fun to use. And Discord gives me like PTSD, so I don't really like use Discord anymore, to be honest. When I say PTSD, I don't mean like an actual like clinical one. I just mean like I don't really like looking at it, if that makes sense. Rather, it triggers like a stress response. You skipped my question. You recommend repeating the course at least 6 times. Does that mean doing the internship 6 times? You can't really do the internship 6 times, so I just mean the modules. The internship is just like a bunch of tasks that you do over time. So I recommend repeating the modules like a lot, especially like if you're unfamiliar with them. I just recommend repeating them like a lot of times. The more you repeat something, the more better intuition you're going to have for it. And hold on, the better intuition you have, you're going to be able to perform when you actually get to your interview. So I'll share something for just a second. So I hate where this paused, but like basically this is a video talking about like how I built my 100K skills, and these like circles are like how many. This is like a really rough representation, but the circles are basically like how many times you repeat a certain task, and the more times you repeat something, the better intuition you're going to have for it, and the better, like the more like nuance of the topic you'll pick up. And if you do it enough, if you do many things enough times, you'll start to see like how the different kind of disciplines or topics like interrelate to each other, and then you're just going to be able to talk about them really well. This is what I call like seeing the matrix. When you're like in something like so much, you just like you're so familiar with it, like a lot of the concepts are like really like obvious to you. And the more you do something, the better you are at it. So for example, I was like talking about doing like the whole like other cybersecurity course lab, like doing that whole thing many times. You not only you get good at Azure, general security operations, your intuition gets better and better for it. Same with incident response, and then the flow of logs and log aggregation, like all of that like gets makes more and more sense over time. And here's like another visualization for it. Like the more you do something, the better like understanding you get for it, and then the more you're going to be able to see how it relates to other stuff, if that makes sense. So I highly recommend. Here's like another visual of it, because in the cyber range we learn like KQL, like Kusto query language. It's how you like query and like look up logs, and then how you deal with Sentinel, like creating analytics rules and working incidents, and then how you implement logging. If you do these things like enough times, it's just gonna like make a lot of sense, and then you're gonna be able to talk about them really well. So I just wanted to like say, like I don't recommend people doing things like a bunch of times, like just for the fun of it. Like it really helps, and then when you actually go to interview, it's gonna be like kind of more obvious that you know what you're talking about if you've done the thing like 10 times or like more than that. Just it just how I got all of my skills that like let me earn a lot of money, if that makes sense. A lot of repetition. I have a job in Helpdesk, but want to do the internship for experience. How can I put the dates on my resume? Would I just omit some experience from my current job? Oh, no, you can have like overlapping stuff. People overlap all the time because people join committees, or they have two jobs, or they have their own business. So it's okay to like overlap stuff on your resume. You don't have to like, put them in line. I understand the personal chart. Gonna have to do some introspection now. Yeah, and I think that was you that asked that question. I'm not saying that like you're busted or like messed up or something. Like I have no idea, right? But it's just all stuff that makes sense. You can have like perfect halo effect, for example. You can be like perfect, but you can be like really arrogant. Not you, but it's possible, and then it's enough to like just turn people off of like everything. 8. I completed CompTIA A plus, Network plus, Security plus, but not practical experience. Any recommendations? Just the thing I just talked about, where you can use the, you can go out and get experience for yourself, or you can use the cyber range. Of course, this is like highly effective, really economical way to get experience. Just use the cyber range. What cert should I get once I have Security plus and I'm going for a SOC Analyst role? Oh, hey, Maheen. It just depends on like what you want to do and like what you find the most interesting, I guess. If you want to get certs for, matching like resume, keyword matching in HR and stuff, probably like CCNA is probably the best cert for this. The next best one would be like CISSP, but that requires like some experience and it's like a huge pain in the ass to get. But in terms of like keywords, probably like CCNA is probably the best one. But if you want to go for like purely like SOC related stuff and keyword matching at the same time, you could get CySA, I guess, because that's like technically a security operations, cybersecurity, security analyst certification. So maybe CySA or like CCNA. Imbrion says, hey Josh, I'm currently enrolled in WGU. I'm about to obtain Net Plus and soon Security Plus with an active security clearance. Oh shit. I'm fresh out of the Navy, so I'm kind of nervous as far as jobs go. So if I was you, I would get a job that has a clearance, to be honest. And then after WGU, I would get CISSP immediately. So if I were you, I would just go to Indeed and I would type like ability to maintain. I would just search for this in quotes in Indeed, because it's gonna like dump out a bunch of jobs that have a clearance probably, and then like a whole bunch of jobs will come out that require a clearance. Or you could just type like secret clearance, something like this, and I would just start applying. Of course, okay, just because you have a clearance, it doesn't mean you're like magical. So I would make sure like your everything is like squared away as good as it can possibly be. Like you make sure your resume, it's really, really important. There's like a free section in the cyber community that will like help you with your resume. So for example, I'll just like put that in the chat. So make sure your resume is like as good as it can possibly be. But I would just like start looking for jobs that require a clearance, like ability to obtain, ability to obtain, or ability to maintain. I would just search for these. You can search inside of like Vectrus, and danger zone jobs and clearance jobs. And I'll just like start applying to like a bunch of jobs that require a clearance, because like not many of the population like has those, right? So that's what I would do. Do the modules have a lab component? I'm confused with the difference between the modules and the internship. Oh yeah, so I'll explain those. He's asking if like the CyberRange modules have a lab component. So basically there's like two main things, like main courses inside the CyberRange. So there's like vulnerability management, where we use like Tenable and do a bunch of vulnerability management stuff. So I'll like show you inside of this actually. And there's like a whole vulnerability management theory section, but then there's like accessing Tenable in Azure, like how you can like request access and then get logged into Tenable and then Azure, and like how to create your virtual machine. And this whole section is like how to do different types of scans on vulnerabilities, how to do remediation, and then finally like the project has a whole bunch of stuff. Like each one of these sections has like a lot of videos covering different stuff, if that makes sense. And then same with like the security operations. This is like the second big course, threat hunting and security operations. Same thing, gaining general access to like all the platforms like Azure primarily, and then defending for endpoint, then how logging and monitoring is set up, and then how to use the SIM, how to do EDR, a bunch of stuff in here. And then when it comes to the actual like internship component, this talks about like what you can do for vulnerability management, like what you can do for the internship credit, and then what you can do for threat hunting, like what you can do for internship credit. So I just like talk about it. So for example, this video like talks about, oh my God, I started dragging them around. This talks about what you can do for your internship in terms of like vulnerability management. And this is like what you can do for the internship for threat hunting. And it just talks about what you do. So basically for the vulnerability management one, you're going to create like PowerShell automation for like STIGs, or just automating vulnerability remediations with PowerShell. And then you'll like submit them on your internship tracking spreadsheet, which looks like this. And then the threat hunting one, it just talks about like how to create a tabletop threat hunt scenario. After you create it, then you would put it on your internship tracking spreadsheet, and it gives you like an example of like what it looks like and stuff. But yeah, I hope that answered your question. For internship, when it says get assist, is it like first come first serve? The first person to see the help request and helps them gets the credit. So that's one thing you can do. So you can do like assisting people like on the forum if they need help, or you can do like the vulnerability management, or you can do the threat hunting things. But if you're doing the assist thing, I'm not really strict about it. So for example, if someone has a problem and like two people provide solutions for that problem, and then both people make an entry for it on their work tracking sheet, I'm not going to be like, oh, this guy like already did it. I won't do that. Both people can get credit for it. Because in the real world, it's often the case that multiple people will provide solutions, especially in like cloud support engineering. Usually like many people will provide solutions. So even if the solution you provide is the same, I'm not going to be like really like strict about it. So no, it's not first come first serve. You can just like, do it and get credit for it. And then the other stuff is like individual, it's just, unique stuff. So what are your thoughts on working in cyber while living in Hawaii? Wondering how much this affects my ability to obtain mainland remote jobs. I actually lived in Hawaii. Oh, is that why you asked that? Because I lived in Hawaii and I did cybersecurity there. I don't think it affects your thing negatively. Like the mainland doesn't know the difference between working in Hawaii and working in like mainland. They just think people on the mainland just view Hawaii like it's another state, right? But when you go to Hawaii, you realize it's not just another state. It's like another country, but people just so happen to speak English there. But it doesn't affect it negatively. My first cyber job was in Hawaii, actually. How would you find cyber work in some place like Japan? My goal is to live there, but of course I want to make a decent living. I would highly recommend that you make a living online if you're going to live anywhere outside of the US. I don't recommend that you work in Japan for a Japanese company. I recommend that you can make money online doing cybersecurity stuff. You just have to get some kind of presence online doing cybersecurity and do a lot of stuff, and then kind of make some kind of product or community or something, because you can make a livable wage easily. I don't want to insult anyone. To make $2,000 or $3,000 a month online, it's not that bad. It takes time to ramp up to being able to do that, but it's not an impossible feat to do. And if you can make 2 or 3K US, you can live in Japan relatively easy, in Thailand, and pretty much almost anywhere in Asia. So I recommend working towards doing that online. I don't really recommend working in an Asian country as a resident there. I don't recommend that. But if you want to, my advice is, as usual, just get really good. Okay, I will say, if you want to live in Japan and you want to work for a normal company, I recommend trying to do it with Department of Defense. Try to work on a military base or something like this. it's better than working in a Japanese company. Military base like suck, to be honest. Well, depending on where you work, but I don't really recommend working in a Japanese company because the pay is low and it's just gonna be a suboptimal experience. Interviews can be tough for me, especially when it comes to selling myself. I'd rather people focus on my skills rather than my personality. Do you think it's better to just be myself? I do think it's better to be yourself, but I think you need to be like, the best version of yourself possible. So for example, you don't have to sell yourself. I'm going to share my screen again. So this is for this selling yourself question. So this is for Lord. I recommend you, this is going to be it sounds stupid to say, but I recommend you like look at this. And then if you don't like networking and you don't like selling yourself, you don't like being like, oh, look what I did. And like, you don't like, trying to like talk yourself up. If you can like embody this as well as you can, especially, well, I don't want to say especially, like either one, right? Like the physical traits, like make sure you're as squared away as possible in terms of like halo effect, like be the best version of yourself, like physically that you can be. Just, clothes as good as you can be, right? And then make sure you're cognizant of these character traits that make you likable. And if you embody all of these and you're like truly stoic in the sense that like, I don't mean stoicism in the sense that like, oh, he just like bury his emotions, like actual stoicism where, you're like embodying the 4 cardinal virtues and you're just like a really humble person and you have a lot of discipline. All of these stuff will come through in your interaction with like the hiring committee. And Halo like helps a lot with this. It helps a lot, right? If you're as good looking and squared away as you possibly can be, and you're humble, and you're just a really pleasant person to be around, and you have like really high technical skill, right? It'll just make you interview really, really well. It'll be, how can I say, you'll have a good result eventually, but it's good to pay attention to like all those things that matter when it comes to halo effect, because it really does matter. It does matter, and like everything compounds and everything like makes a difference. So you just have to like be aware of those things, if that makes sense. Do you think cybersecurity is going to change slower, less than software engineering with the rise of AI? That's a good question. I think software engineering is going to be more impacted by AI because ChatGPT came out when I was a software engineer, and I was doing software engineering and security plus at the same time, and it affected my software engineering job like 5 or 10x versus what I was doing in cybersecurity. So it's definitely going to affect software more. Imbrion says, sorry, I was asking, so I'm not done with certs yet. However, I need to work as soon as possible. Oh, yeah. Is it unreasonable for me to want a remote role? It's going to be kind of hard. It's harder to get remote roles because they're like more competitive and everything. But I don't know. I would try to apply if I were you, because if you have a clearance, like a lot of times the clearance jobs, they will hire you even if you don't have the certs. If you have a clearance, they'll hire you, and then they'll just make you to get the cert like in 6 weeks or something like this, and they'll give you a bunch of like resources to make sure you get it fast. This happens a lot. It happened to me because I had Security Plus. No, I had a CCNA and then CISSP. For some reason, the defense job required I get Security Plus for some dumb reason. I don't know why, but they hired me without it, and then they just like kind of made me get it in like 2 weeks, and then I just got it, and then I was hired. So I don't think it's unreasonable. Just like make sure your resume and everything else is as good as it possibly can be, and then just start applying. That's what I would do. And Winton, what services do you think would sell most if I were to do cybersecurity freelancing online? You could probably look into like, I'm really bad, I don't know, but you could look into like NIST 800-171. Damn, I forget what this is called, but businesses are needing to do this. Like if you want to be a federal contractor, you have to be NIST 800-171 compliant in some cases. And so people need to go out and like make sure that they are compliant. but I'm not the best person to ask about this. But I would look into NIST 800-171, and then you don't even have to provide cybersecurity services. You could just have like a cybersecurity community, right? You could make your own version of like a, or you could make like a bunch of labs or something. You could do something where you make a community and you give people like exercises or something like this, and you can do like a small scale one of those, right? Like make a school community or something like this. There's like a lot of stuff you can do. What are the benefits of participating in cybersecurity conferences or workshops for someone at the beginning of their career? Probably just to expand consciousness, I would say. That's why I try to bring my team to stuff like this. Just, I don't have like a primary objective for them when they go, just to rather expand their consciousness and see what's out there, like see what's possible, see what other people are doing, see what you can do. Because when you see it in person, it becomes like kind of more real for you, and it kind of becomes a possibility or a reality. And then secondary to that, just to kind of meet people and be nice. Because if you're new in your career, you might not have anything to offer people when you go to the conferences and doing networking events or whatever, but you can still talk to people and you can ask them about themselves and just kind of get to know people. And if you act interested in people and you're nice, they're going to be nice to you and they're going to talk to you, right? You could run into like another YouTuber there and they'll just like talk to you in person, or like another cybersecurity industry like leader or whatever, and they'll just like talk to you in person, versus like a DM. It's like kind of hard to like get in contact with me because I have too many DMs. But if you show up, you can just like talk to someone there and they'll be nice to you in person. So I guess just meeting people and then expanding consciousness are like kind of the two big things that I try to get out of like those events. Thank you everyone for your time and questions. A lot of good information to process. Ray's leaving it. See you all on the community board. Don't want to give up. We're going to win. We got this, Ray. Thanks for joining, Ray. I appreciate you. And Saul says, on repetition, I like you bring up the lab diagram almost every video and go more into depth with each video. I remember seeing this Soc plus HoneyNet diagram over and over again. Oh, thanks. I'm glad that you like that. I thought it was useful over and over again in the previous course, and I was able to understand the vulnerability management diagram the first time you showed it. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I have Security Plus. Whoa. I have Security Plus. Would it be worth going back to get Network Plus, or better to go get something like CCNA or CySA Plus? I would recommend getting CCNA over like anything else, to be honest. CySA Plus is probably okay, but it teaches you different stuff. But in terms of like higher ability, I think CCNA is better. What is your take on having both Security Plus and CySA Plus? Is it seen as a positive or redundant? I personally think it's like a bit redundant. But there's a lot of stuff in there that pertains to like general security operations. Okay, I don't want to say it's redundant, to be honest. CySA Plus has a lot of stuff that Security Plus doesn't have. But I don't know. You just have to think about it in terms of like opportunity costs. Like you have to spend time and money and energy to get CySA Plus. So if you think like, if I spend the same time, money, energy on something else, could I do something better than CySA Plus? And CCNA like might be better in terms of like job matching and like all those things, but it just depends. I would say in this case, it probably boils down to your interest. If you're like really interested in networking, I would get CCNA. But if you're really interested in like security operations and not like SOC lifestyle, probably CySA Plus is better. But I hope that helps. It's a kind of a wishy-washy answer. Yeah, CMMC. Yes. Oh, you know about this. What is this? Classified something information. Something unclassified information. I forget what that stands for. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I'd also imagine you could start by teaching the Security Plus content. Yes, there's too many people that study for that regularly. Yeah, you can create like a ton of content around that. You can create a community around getting certifications or something like this. And you could just like make a ton of content around those. I'm kind of doing that, but it's like not a zero-sum game. Like a lot of people can do the same thing. Yeah. Do you know any resources or hacks to get a CISSP for cheap, like price? Seems like the holy grail for someone not in a technical role or hacking otherwise, but I have audit experience, CISA or CISSP? I have decks for both of those, to be honest. But I would recommend getting CISSP over CISA because it has more like job hits, if that makes sense. I didn't publish my CISA deck yet, but I do have the CISSP one. And my CISSP deck is really good. I had like a bunch of people tell me that it was good and they used it and they passed CISSP. I'd recommend getting a good video series though, and then getting a secondary practice question set to supplement it, because you don't want to fail CISSP because it's like $700 down the hole. And no problem, you can ask as much as you want. Genuine question, did you find it challenging to create content in the beginning? I find it hard not to overanalyze my own videos and never upload them because I worry they're not perfect. Yeah, that's just something you have to get over. I got over it like really fast, because if you think about it, like you can literally optimize your video forever and just never post it. And you have to think about like the 80-20 rule. So like basically there's like diminishing returns. Like if you plan out a video really well and make sure you have like good enough audio, good enough video, a good enough script, and then good enough editing, and then you post it, it's going to be like good enough. And then, okay, you could spend like, okay, what's a good way to think about this? Like if you spend like, for example, 10 hours making a video and it's at like, it's 80% good enough and you post it, it's better than spending like, if you want your video to be like 100% good enough, maybe you got to spend like, like 100 hours or something instead of 10 hours. And sometimes it's worth it to do that, but in the beginning, it's not really worth it. You just got to make sure your video is like good enough. Like make a standards sheet for yourself. Like make sure your equipment is like, you don't need really expensive equipment, but it just needs to be like good enough. And then just make a standards sheet. Like, okay, I did this, the editing is good enough. I cut out all my errors and my breathing. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And then just upload it, make your thumbnail and title and like upload it. Because you can optimize like videos forever. Instead of like trying to make one video perfect, just try to get like slightly better for something like each video you make, and it's gonna be better. And don't worry about like people criticizing you. It's really hard to get people's attention online. Like you'll notice like when you're trying to get views and trying to get subscribers or something, it's hard to get attention. So don't worry about like messing up or people like hating you or whatever. There's people who hate me, they're stupid, because like I'm really careful and like ethical with my audience, and if someone hates me, it just means they're like a dummy and they either don't like my skin or my face or like something else. They're just like mad about it. So don't even worry about those. Just come up with a standardized list and just publish your content and just try to get better next time. That's like the best thing I think you can do. I think you missed my previous question, not sure. But is the most beginner-friendly path to the cyber range is to do Google Cybersecurity certificate? I think so, because Google Cybersecurity is put together so well, and it covers the basics like so well. It's just really easy to digest. So if you really want to prime yourself before joining the cyber range, I would recommend doing like the Google Cybersecurity certificate. I'm not even like shilling them. I have like a affiliate with them, but I'm not even like putting the link anywhere in this. It's really good. The Google Cybersecurity is quite good. It's not required, but it's like pretty good. I have Security Plus, doing cyber range now. Should I get CISSP or CCNA next week? Oh, not next week. What job should I look for to get started ASAP? I'm not sure what field I want to focus on yet. This question has like too much stuff in it, but CISSP is like literally the best cert that you can get if you want to work in cybersecurity. It's the best. It's the best one. It has an experience requirement, but if you can get associate of ISC squared, it's good to get it out of the way. Second best, I would say, is CCNA. And in terms of like the different jobs you can get, I recommend in this application strategy video, there's this like application tracking spreadsheet, and at the bottom of this thing is in my way. There's like a keyword list. And these are just like some. Instead of like applying to like certain jobs, this is for Ramos. Instead of like, what the heck? Why can't I? instead of searching for certain job titles, I might look for keywords, keyword list, and apply to these if this makes sense. Because you might find jobs that people otherwise wouldn't look up because you're using obscure words to look for them. Yeah, Embryon. You for clearance jobs, you mentioned some sites. Can you say again? I did not get a chance to down. Okay, yeah. So I would look Vectrus jobs, Vectrus danger zone jobs, clearance jobs, and then I would look at Indeed, but search for ability to obtain and ability to maintain. If you search for these, you'll find like a bunch of jobs that require clearances. Will you ever hire anyone to work with you? If so, I'd like to apply now. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Where do you live? Oh shit. It's Elsie. Hey, Elsie. Elsie is my coworker, actually. That's funny. So you can. That's funny. Yeah, I hire people. I have like a lot of employees or a lot of coworkers. One of them's in the YouTube chat. Yeah, I guess it depends on like what you want to do and like where you live. I'm not like hiring anything right now. I'm trying to like train 2 or 3 people up. But I might need something in the future. I might need someone to like, if somebody's like willing to make a regular threat hunt scenario for people in the cyber range, I'll give them money to do it. I think Trevino's like one of the cyber range members. He's actually like making one for me right now. So if he wants to do it, I'll probably like pay him to do it. But if he ends up thinking it's like too boring or like too much work, I'll probably like pay someone to make those every week or whatever, because it takes a lot of like effort for me to do. So if you want to look into that, if you want to, I don't know if you've participated in one of the cyber range like threat hunts yet, but if somebody makes those, I'll definitely pay them to do it. But yeah, are you still in an active role, or do you only do content? This is like a really good question. I only do content, but I do like a lot of cybersecurity work, like a lot of technical work on the back end, because the cyber range, it basically requires like a lot of automation and some like IAM. And anyway, I do both. My cybersecurity job is to run the actual cyber range, and there's like a lot of hard technical stuff in there that has to do with like the SIEM and like just incident response and like a lot of coding and automation and a lot of stuff. So I don't work at like a normal job where like I'm going to work, I'm going to clock in and like work with my team. Like my own company that runs a cyber range that has like a lot of technical cyber stuff that has to be dealt with, that I'm like the primary on that. So I work and have a normal cyber job, but it's like not only content. Content is like part of it. You can ask me like more and more and more. You can DM me too if you want like a more in-depth answer. Hi, Elsie. I have like a lot of virtual assistants. I appreciate you asking me this. I have a few virtual assistants actually. If you want to ask me questions about those, you can always DM me inside the cyber community. It's free. But yeah, anyone doing content, highly recommend getting a virtual assistant. It's really it's really good. Clown says, can you go through all the countries you've lived in? I know about Japan and Thailand, but you were in Hawaii. Yeah, so I lived in Seattle. I lived in Hawaii for a year. I lived in Japan. I kind of actively live there. I kind of actively live in Thailand. That's pretty much all in terms of like long-term living. I was in Dubai for 2 weeks recently for like that conference, and that's pretty much all, to be honest. That's pretty much all. Also, was the move to Japan difficult, lengthy of a process? I'd like to learn more about that if you have time. It depends on like how you want to go. You can technically move to Japan and live there for 3 months. You can technically stay there for 6 months. Actually, you just have to leave one time, because as an American, we get 2-3 month visas per year. So you can go to Japan for 3 months and live inside of like a monthly mansion or Airbnb or something. It costs money, of course. But after like 3 months, you can go to like Thailand for a week and then come back and you can keep living there again. that's literally what I've been doing for like a couple of years. I ended up getting like a more proper tourist visa. So I can stay for like a year at a time, but it's not difficult. It costs money, right? But I can talk more about those. Do you miss working under contract, or you feel content is much better? So content. So I don't want people to like get confused. Basically, like I don't use content as my main income. I guess I use my product as my main income. Like the amount of money I get from YouTube is like it's like less than $3,000 a month, to be honest. So my product is like the cyber course, like all those like courses, and then the cyber range, which is actively being maintained. So I prefer to work in product. I would say product more than working in like a normal job, because you'll make like uh, a lot more money, like 10x, 5 to 10x or more doing product and content versus a normal job, if that makes sense. But it's not easy to do, and there's like a lot of different ways to do it. You can be a piece of shit and then you can make a lot of money really fast, but your reputation will go to zero. Or you can try to be like really ethical, and it will take time for you to build up that much money. But when you do, people still like you, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's better, in my opinion, it's better to do content, but it's a lot of busy work. You can't just like, okay, I'm a content creator, I'm in my like routine now. It kind of is like really, really a lot of busy work, but you can make like a lot of money if you do it properly. It's like, it's business anyway. Do you enjoy living in Thailand, and can you see yourself living there long term? So to be honest, I don't. To be honest, when I say live in Thailand, I stay in Thailand, but I live in a hotel. Usually, I either live in a hotel or a nice condo, and the only reason I choose Thailand is because the food is really inexpensive, and I can live like high quality life for like kind of it's not cheap, but it's way cheaper than if I'm in Japan or the U.S. And yeah, I can see myself living here a long time because literally living in a hotel, and like all my stuff is taken care of. So yeah, I can. But if I live like outside, like I won't do this, right? Because it's like not convenient. Do you engage with the cyber community via Discord? How does that work? So we have like a board or a forum. So for example, we have a community, and then I need to approve these things, but there's like a lot of message board here, and people can post, and we communicate here, and then we also, in like what is it? The calendar. We also have like weekly events. So like we have a public live on Friday, and then we have like a private one on Saturday, and we just do that every week. So we have like a message board we use to communicate, where we can get like ranking and points. Then we have like this like, not in person, but the private one, people tend to like use their mic to communicate, and like we come on like kind of an open mic and we talk together. So yeah, that's what we do. The board and like those weekly meetings. Oh, it's like already past 9. Bye, Ernest. Okay, yeah, I'll see everybody later. I went over time, but if I didn't answer your question, just go to the free cyber community and sign up, and then I'll approve your thing, and then you can DM me there, and I'll do my best to answer you. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. It was a lot of fun as usual, and I'll be online for like a long time responding to DMs. So just like join the cyber community and message me there if I didn't get to your thing. But yeah, otherwise, for the cyber range members, I'll see you guys tomorrow in the private live. Otherwise, everybody else, I'll see you like in YouTube comments or next week. But yeah, see you guys later. Bye bye.